Game number 1 of this best of 3 Ruins of Endian. So right back into Ruins of Endian, we just saw Scarlet playing on this map. And let's see if iAsonu has anything more. I mean, the Scarlet's build wasn't bad. It's actually an interesting build on the map because, again, the fear of the rocks going down can sometimes mean that you're not expecting kind of a roach-based attack. But Ryung just had a good response, just held it off, and yeah, Scarlet just didn't quite get enough done. She could have killed that tech lab before the tanks came out. That could have changed everything. And me thinking, well, really? But like, Tech Lab before the tank starts, no tank comes up. That actually really is a big difference. I mean, Scarlet is nowhere near as much of a rush to get damage done. So I like the build, just so close to being the right thing, just so far away at the same time, unfortunately. As we kick things off into game number 1, guys, it's Ryung in the bottom right as the blue Terran, iAsonu to the bottom left as the red Zerg, representing teams MVP and Invictus Gaming respectively. And let's just see how this goes. Let's see how this gets set up. And see what the players are going to be deciding to do here in the early stages of the game. It has so far been just very standard, just hatch gas pool out of our Zerg player. And it looks though Ryung is getting ready to go in towards his Rax. Well, he went Rax gas, probably command center soon after the Reaper expansion comes. After the Reaper comes up, so Reaper expand on the way basically as our early setup. And I mean, on this map, there's a lot of different ways in which you can. There's a lot of different ways in which you can sort of decide to kind of be aggressive. There's a lot of different ways that can work out for you, especially on the third base of the Zerg player. The Terran can actually set up a very good sort of siege from the low ground, especially if they can kill off the rocks and block the Zerg player from getting in position. It's a very annoying location to deal with. So it's a bit of a nuisance of a third to hold as the Zerg against Terran players if they play aggressively, and because of that, I'd expect this to be kind of a Widowmine drop into a siege tank from Ryung. But there's a lot of different builds you can do that still kind of plays out okay, as we see Ryung just going into that Reaper, into Reactor. Factory's already on the way down. No real surprises here again, just Reaper expand as we'd expect, second gas on the way, so he's going to play somewhat aggressively, not going to rush out the third base, and to be fair, playing aggressively is actually the better way to kind of play this matchup out right now, because especially on this map as well, because you have this very unique thing where you play aggressively, you get out onto the map, and you actually end up in a position where you can do damage and you can take down your rocks so that you can expand in location with your third base, and that means you don't have to float the third over to position, and it's just something which is generally a bit of a greedier thing to do, but on this map you can do it without any concerns, and that's always going to be a good thing, as we see. Excuse me. As we see this command sign just coming down on the natural, about to finish up, morphing into an orbital. Tech Lab on the way, and the starport building, looking as though it's going to be that Widowmine on the way, Widowmine drop into Siege Tank, unless he skips the Widowmine, goes straight to the tank. But generally you don't have the gas to do that just yet if you want to get the medevac as well, but he is going to do it, so straight to tank for Ryung. I do find that interesting because you can just see he doesn't have the gas immediately to start up the medevac. So he's kind of sitting with the starport, not doing too much for a little while. I mean, he gets it pretty soon after, but again, it's just, the Widowmine drop just times out a bit nicer because you get the Widowmine and the medevac, then the siege tank after, and you can go into a Liberator or second medevac, depending on how you want to play. There's still a lot of versatility with that, and there's still a lot of possibilities as well as to how you can make things happen, what you can do. And as I see the Marines just picking off the Zerg so towards the front. Marines looking as though they might be trying to take down those rocks in the near future, but Zerglings may be keeping them a little bit pinned back from that for now. As we do see Roachron has started up from iAsonu, so Roachron is on the way up here. And well, yeah, I mean, Roachron on the way up, just seeing the third hatchery coming into play as well. Again, just standard things you'd expect to see from a Zerg player. I mean, if you, obviously the Roachron indicates he wants to play a Roach Ravager, so that's not necessarily a weird thing. As we see them Roaches just going to be on the way up soon. First tank again going to be annoying, but the Queens, you're going to be kind of a major part of this defense. We'll see them coming in and targeting down the medevac, and Ryung, didn't pay attention to his medevac for a little while there, and that actually caused him to take a little bit of damage on it, and fortunately he did still get there in time to pull it away with the boost, but still some damage onto the medevac early. Is a good start for Ryung here. So good stuff for iAsonu, sorry. Again, that damage on the medevac, and again you can just see that medevac getting lower, and it's getting to that point where he's actually just going to have to maybe go back home with it and repair it up, because if he sticks around too much longer, another shot or two, and he's going to be risking death. So he has to be very cautious right here with this tank. As we see another tank coming across, so again, just going to continue using the tank of Axe as a way to be annoying early, just keep map control, delay creep spread. Very standard way to play out a kind of early game TvZ with these couple of tanks, so no real surprises here just yet. We're going to see them few Zerglings going to come out onto the map. They're going to actually start getting blown up as well. Some few Zerglings getting blown up as we're going to see the Marines and these tanks. They're going to take down these rocks, and actually that's really nice because the rocks to the top side aren't taken down, so you can see the casters in the Chinese stream pointing it out. He's going to set up this position here, which is actually, he's going to be pretty much untouchable, actually. It's pretty insane. He should really be over there and stopping those Lings from getting through these rocks, because if he can stop that, it's actually maybe even a game-winning move, because these tanks can't be killed. There's nothing that's going to get near them anytime soon, apart from maybe Ravager shots. That's the closest thing he's got to a way of defending this right now. And so the Marines, I'm actually surprised he's bringing the tanks up. I'm surprised he's not elevating Marines up here to the high ground to start just trading and baiting units in towards the tanks. You can see the medevac's being targeted again, but again, once they go to the low ground, these tanks are kind of free to do what they want. Tanks go back up to the high ground. Queens are still taking damage. You can just see iAsonu. The damage is racking up on these Queens, and very soon we're going to see the Queens in a position where they're not actually going to be able to fight much longer because they're getting so low on health. Marines getting dropped off up here as well. And just see Zerglings streaming through. Again, it is the medevacs that are in the most trouble right here, taking a lot of damage from these Queens. But it's still the Queens which are taking damage too. The Queens, one of them in like one hit point towards the left-hand side there. Very, very low. The medevacs are low too. Might even be worth dropping a meal just to repair the medevacs up, because it just gives you so much more ability out on the map. It gives you the ability to kind of continue attacking with these medevacs and with these tanks and so on without kind of the fear of losing them. So that'd be nice to see. That medevac there is going to go down surely. He's been very cautious actually, just making sure. One more shot comes off. Ravager's coming in, and actually the Queen does pick up the kill there, and actually that's going to be another dead tank. So I think Ryung just sort of outstayed his welcome there. Just again, when the medevacs get low, that's the one way you do get forced away from this position when the rocks are down. The medevacs just taking too much damage, and then they eventually have to back away. They get killed off by the Queens. The tanks can't retreat. The Ravagers, of course, then help with that. If the medevacs are low, if the medevacs can't lift up the tanks, then the tanks start to go down as well. So Ryung just sort of outstaying his welcome, staying a bit longer than he really needed to. As we see a Hive already on the way up for iAsonu, so he's not messing around. He's playing this sort of Ravager-based composition with melee upgrades, where he's just going to continue going into very fast Ultralisks and looking to hit those early in the game and see if he can force something out of Ryung because of that. So I'm going to see this starting to set up. We're going to see the couple of SCVs just repairing up a medevac to the right-hand side right now. I'm going to see an armory about to finish up for Ryung as well, iAsonu. Again, that Hive going to finish. I mean, does Ryung have an aggressive timing before iAsonu is ready to go with the Ultralisks? Well, potentially. He's got Stim and Combat Shields finished. I'm not sure where the upgrades are for Ryung. I'd imagine he's got 1-1 finished. I'd imagine. But I mean, 8 minutes would be very late to start 1-1. So yeah, he's got 2-2 just starting up now. So he's got the upgrades. So yeah, I would just go for it. He actually still thinks there's a Widowmine there, I think, which is a bit of a strange one. He did pick that off. So just getting a few battles over there, dealing with a little bit of a drop play we saw coming in. Ryung at the same time, dropping towards the top side and going to start pulling the Zerg player around the map. He sees so much of a concentration of Zerg units towards the main base. He knows this fourth base is going to be fairly open, and so he's going to be able to get in here and abuse that right now as that Marine stim forwards. That hatchery starts to take damage, and, well, I think we can just say goodbye to that hatchery, honestly. Feelings coming in. He's going to trade against the Lings. We actually see the cancel anyway. Drone also goes down, and that's actually a nice trade from Ryung, picking up Lings and a hatchery and a drone, and doesn't lose anything at all from those drops. They weren't full to begin with, and they're still not full now. Obviously, he doesn't just create units out of nowhere, but again, away with the same number of Marines as he came in with is really, really nice for him. +1 melee finishing now from iAsonu, +2 Carapace on the way up. We see the Ultra Cavern finishing, so Chitinous Plating on the way soon. Adrenal Glands is also on the way as well, as we see another drop in the main base though. And Ryung just continuing to drop around the map right now, continue to just get damage done wherever possible for himself. As we see this last Marine also going to fall down here. Colin Medvacs to the top side also. So having a look to see what they can get up to as we see Marine and Marauder starting to make their way through a couple of sets of rocks here. Again, just cleaning up and giving some access out onto the map. Just giving himself access to his fourth base as well. And Ryung at this point is starting to attack, and he's going to hit a timing just before Chitinous Plating comes in. So one of the better timings for himself here, if he would like to kind of go for the, if he wants to hit before Ultras. Question is, can he really make this work? I mean, the Ultras aren't out just yet, and again, when they do come out, there'll be a little while before there's Chitinous Plating. Ryung has to be careful of the fungal growths. That's going to be one of the biggest threats which iAsonu has to throw towards him. A couple of battles coming down, and they will help to clean up them units caught in the fungal. As I think right now Ryung has to be cautious because iAsonu is in a position where, well, them Medivacs, they're going to go down, and I think Ryung, as a response to this, is just going to stem in, but another fungal growth starts to carry back as he sees the Ultras. He can target them down again without kindness playing. These Ultras do die. It's incredible how fast they die in comparison to how slow they will die once that kindness finishes. And actually, the first 3 Ultras of the game do go down in that engagement, so bit of a scrappy one from iAsonu, not really getting enough done just yet. We see another creep tumor being picked away at, being taken down. I'm just going to see a few more units just moving forwards, another creep tumor falling here, and, well, this Bioforce is going to split up once again, because this Roach Ravager Infestor just having to think about moving forwards here in towards this Marine Marauder Medivac force. As we're going to see a couple of Medivacs going up towards the top side of the map. So a couple of Medivacs towards the top side of the map. I'm just going to be seeing, what is that, just a few units of Infestors and Ravagers actually coming in there. Maybe they caught a Medivac. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 that was going up here. But either way, looking to kind of deny those units from coming in as Liberated production has begun. He's seen the Ultras, so I mean, he knows right now the sort of game he has to play. And the thing is, on this map, it's very easy to play that sort of game because 4 bases are defended so easily from a Terran's point of view. You take the 4 base with the pocket 4th base, and that gives you a very easy 4 base corner of the map to hold. Only choke points as entrances to your 4 bases. So, good map to go kind of longer games on. From the Terran's point of view. From the Zerg's point of view, I mean, the drops can be very annoying. They can stretch you long and thin, and you can't take the pocket 4th as a Zerg because it's so easy to push in there with the choke points of the Terrans. So the Terran can push into that pocket 4th too easily, so they're forced to take the 4th base to the north, and once you take that 4th base to the north, then the drops can begin to pull you away between the main base and the natural expansion, as we see Marines Marauders just trading here a little bit, not overly good to take a fight, just waiting. Obviously, the strength of this composition is that the Ravagers here in the early stages of the late game are going to be a great way to deal with the kind of Liberator count, which is not going to be super high just yet. So that's something Ryung is going to have to be cautious of, as we see them Lings just over here coming in to defend. A couple of Liberators starting to siege on up, but there's them battles. So I mean, so quickly we see Liberators starting to go down. A couple of Infestors on the top side going to go down. Nice snipes there. Cost him a lot of bio, but it still does go down. But iAsonu making some progress through in towards the bottom right hand side, and well, a couple of Corrosive Battles going to go down. Ryung just has to kind of pull back away a little bit. I mean, it looks a little bit scary for Ryung, but you got to remember he's still got a good defensive setup here where if iAsonu really commits, it's not going to go too well for him. He has opened up this attack to the path to the right-hand side now, but it's a free Ultralist which Ryung just takes advantage of. Widowmine's doing some good initial damage there as that army kind of comes through this choke point and in towards this bottom right-hand side, as we see units coming in once again and just continuing to come in. We're going to see another Ultra going down, Corrosive Biles once more, landing but not on anything in particular, just warding these units away. And Ryung again going to look to utilize these drops as a way to keep himself in this game, to keep himself from just being pushed back into the corner. And you can see actually, I mean, to be fair though, the supplies have gone back into Ryung's favour. You know, it was a one bad fight, and you know, it wasn't even a bad fight, just a bad slightly bad trade, but slightly bad trade, but then he's transitioned from that. You know, he's just defended with this defensive position, and he's put himself right back into it straight away with a 20 supply lead. So I mean, obviously we're going to be ping-ponging between supply leads from each player. It doesn't mean a lot in this sort of later game scenario just yet. It's this sort of position where, you know, supply leads can change very easily and they don't have too much of an impact on the game. As you see, Queen's just been targeted down, trying to use it to keep them alive a little while longer. Marines going to start cleaning out those Lings as well. Dropping Overload, we've not really seen that be used for anything just yet, as we'll see Ryung just coming forwards, and he'll pick that off as we see a scan just to clean out a couple of Widow Mines. A couple of creep tumors. The Widow Mines do go off, and they actually pick off a few Lings again, a little bit damage onto Ultras, but the Biles for the most part are going to be good to clean those up as well. And we're just going to be seeing another couple of Liberators moving forwards. Has to be careful. Fester with the fungal, and that's going to be the Corrosive Biles to confirm the kill on those. That's a bit of a throwaway from Ryung. It's 300-300, which he's not going to get anything from now, as we see the Ultra left to the top left to defend these further drops. Nice little Ling run by. That's definitely one of the issues for Ryung now. No wall set up here towards where those rocks used to be on the third base. So that's something Ryung is not going to have as much luck with, as we see a Marine Marauder moving forwards here. Big stim, and we're going to see him probably wanting to split up once again, backing away. These Ultras are continuing to take quite a lot of damage, actually. These Ultras taking a lot of damage. Wow, they are dropping so quickly. The Ultras are just gone. And now there's one Ultra in the back which can't get through, but these Ravagers are in so much trouble. One more Ultra left over, but it's also going to go down pretty quick. And I think this Bio should turn and fight in a lot of ways. I mean, Ravagers are expensive units which on their own don't do so well because they're low, they're low hit points, high DPS units. So on their own, they just die quickly. Ryung doesn't have the Medivacs though, so that might keep him away from chasing this. We see his fifth base being taken as the gold. I love that as well. You can see iAsonu hasn't even taken down, either player's actually taken down the rocks to the bottom side of the map. So it's actually a very well protected gold base, but now to just mule up. Get some SCVs there maybe for Medivac or something. over time. As we see, Ryung still just maintaining a slight supply lead, but he's only kind of, again, one bad fight away, one bad medevac drop away from kind of losing that. So it's, again, not too much of a difference. Banks are fairly low for both players as well. Work counts 55 to 58. Ryung has cleaned out that bottom side set of rocks, so you can start getting some of your units through to that gold base, as we're going to see him just getting ready to drop this bottom side as well. And again, just this map's so easy to kind of ping pong I've used that word a lot today, but kind of pull the Zerg player between bases on. I mean, the base is all set up in a line, but the line does extend over quite a large distance, so it's it does kind of add up as we see the Corruptors coming forwards. Corruptors in addition, of course, in the later game, which we need to see to kind of as a way to kind of deal with the Liberator count as it gets higher and higher, and maybe a couple of Vipers as well to start abducting a couple of units, abduct a couple of Liberators out of position, out of siege mode. They can be very useful as well. It's one of these units which we don't see, actually, I think, in my personal opinion, I don't feel we see it being used enough in late game ZVT, the Viper, so I'd love to see that as we see the Ultras. Again, just looking to see what's going on. A scan, a couple more creatures being killed off here. The Ultras moving forwards again, and these Infestors just continue to burrow and continue to move forward. So Infestors could be a little bit of a trap here. They're going to pop it right now, and they're going to grab one or two fungals. Not the worst of fungals, in fact, pretty good. But the Ultras at the front take a lot of damage from the mines. That's going to soften them up for the bio to maybe start finishing them off. There's so many just on low health there. So I'll just pull them back a little bit. Liberators will siege up still. Ravagers to kind of get rid of these Liberators. As we see another couple of Liberators sieging up though. The Ultras again low on health, starting to go down. We see a fungal growth coming in as well. But I think iAsonu is just going to lose too much here. He's only left with Ravagers, and well, again, the Ravagers on their own aren't the best. As we see Ryung just in a few units forwards, catching a few of these Ravagers and the Infestor on the way out. And those last units going down is going to be heavy, expensive losses for iAsonu. And you can see his gas count. He's not prepared. I mean, 100 gas apiece is a Ravager. That's expensive. And you can see he just doesn't have the gas to rebuild multiple Ravagers like he just lost. When he also has to rebuild Infestors, he also has to rebuild Ultralisks. If he wants a realistically kind of, if he realistically wants an army that can stand up for itself and do a decent job. As we see a few Lings just burrowed in towards the third base, the right-hand side, that gold base still mining, and obviously that's keeping Ryung's economy healthy here, as he'll probably move in towards the sixth base, towards the upper side of the map in the relatively near future. But of course, not just yet, no need for that. Immediately here, as Corruptors actually intercept this medevac drop. The Marines here are going to get one of the Corruptors, though, so a little bit of a mistake there out of iAsonu. And still he has a few Lings up to this top side. I think they might be burrowed, kind of hidden in that top right corner, whereas I think Ryung would have seen them and started to clean them up. As we do just see, yeah, they are just burrowed over there. I mean, the burrow is actually a pretty useful upgrade throughout the game because it can force scans and so on. It's actually nice to see that in the later stages of the game here from iAsonu, because you just see it's kept those Zerglings alive and give them a little bit more of a, throughout the game he'll just get so much utility out of those. It's definitely worthwhile, as we see Ultras just colliding together again, and the problem is for iAsonu, he's just never gotten into this super late game army. Like, he's got Ultras, yeah, he's got a few Corruptors, but he's just not gotten the kind of numbers which he needs. And well, I like this, going to start kind of going for a little bit of drop play to harass the bases and whatever, but at the same time, something like Nidus networks and towards the main would be great. Get a few Ultras out over there, start being really kind of annoying with the positions on the map and the sort of positions he can take. As we're just going to be seeing Liberators setting up once more, and again, just going to be seeing this Bioforce continue to push through over to the left-hand side of the map. Maybe another scan or so coming in here very shortly. Maybe. No, not yet. Liberator's going to keep moving forwards. I mean, the Liberator count also getting very high now, and that's the problem. Where's the anti-Liberator force? There isn't one, honestly, right now. I mean, there's a few Corruptors. Is that few Corruptors going to deal with this number of Liberators in time for the Ultras to, to get the Ultras onto the army? I don't think it will. Single Marauder gets a shot into an Infestor there, nothing too special. I mean, what iAsonu needs to do, he needs to just he needs to try and find a good fight, but how do you find a good fight when these Liberators are sieging up your side of the map, when they're going to push you into kind of a tough position? It's going to be Ryung who forces the fight, and so it's generally, expected, therefore, that Ryung is going to take the fight sort of on his terms. This may be the best chance iAsonu will have, as we see the Liberators just sieging up a little bit late there. The Infestors fungling a couple of these units in the front, doing some good damage. The Liberators, though, you can see they're just not dying fast enough, and so the Ultras taking a lot of damage here on the way through, and that should put them on low enough health for the bio to then finish off, as we see him just getting kited away. And that's obviously always the issue with the Ultras. They can just be kited if the Infestors aren't there to keep on supporting. I mean, all the Infestors went down during that engagement. The Liberator is able to pick those off quite easily. when they just kind of run into liberation zones. So they're a pretty high priority target, as we see another Ultra going down. And with the low health Ultras here, you got to be a little bit concerned for iAsonu because he just doesn't have the units he needs anymore. The Ultras go down, now it's only Zerglings and Corruptors. The Corruptors aren't going to do very much. They can pick off the Medivacs, but the Marines can turn and fight them. Nothing to support these Corruptors at all anymore. And you can see the Marines just underneath going to start picking away at them. And so the Corruptors have to back away. Plus free ship weapons on the way from Ryung, continuing to upgrade for his Liberators here. Another base being taken to the top side of the map. This has been a pretty great kind of later game TvZ, really kind of shows you kind of how this map can play out in the TvZ, where it's kind of not really split map, but it's very easy to hold bases on, but the Terran player really can still abuse those drops, and it's still hard for the Zerg to just take a later game fight on this map, I feel, as we see the Ling Ultra Corruptor going to be moving forwards and just coming towards the centre, and I mean, it's again just not really the composition that iAsonu wants 20 minutes into this game. 2 Ultras, way too many Corruptors for what's on the map now from the Terran player. I mean, just again, 2 Ultras is just not enough, really. It's not scary enough. That scan there coming on top of the army. Doesn't see that Infestor, which is burrowed just south. Going to pop that up now. Maybe coming for the Fungal Grove. Lands on a big chunk of bio. It's a pretty good Fungal Grove, actually, if we're going to be completely honest. Third Ultra joins the party as well as the first one goes down now. And we're going to see, once again, Ryung is just pulling back, kiting away from this Ling Ultra force, which is giving chase right here. You'll see more and more Lings going down. A few Widowmines. They're going to want to burrow here in a moment or two as well. And they are going to start burrowing. They burrow underneath, and that's going to be some good damage onto the Corruptors, softening up greatly for maybe some Marines to come underneath and help out. And iAsonu, though, still staying in this. I mean, gotta give him credit where credit is due. He's still kicking. He's still alive, and he's still making something of this. He's still expanding. He's still holding his bases. This is one of these kind of games which is very, not really scrappy, but it's long-winded. You know, it's very back and forth, and maybe not back and forth because we've not seen one player take a lead in the other. It's very even from start through finish, and neither player's really taking a huge advantage throughout the game. As we see the few Balins just starting to morph in. We're going to see these Zerglings as well. Just with these Balins, just having a little bit of a look to see, or a bit of a think as to what they might want to try and get done now. We're going to see the units just coming back towards the left-hand side. We're going to see a big chunk of bio up the right. And again, yeah, I kind of find it interesting that Ryung, because he's identified that his opponent can't get up to a higher Ultra count, has kind of never really kind of gone into mass Liberators once again. He's just going to continue to build so much bio, never built Ghosts or anything, just really saying my bio count is enough. I mean, he's still building Liberators, but he doesn't have a second starport. You know, he's still really reliant on just the bio numbers in this game. 23 minutes in, and we see Ryung walking into another engagement, looking with that single Liberator Siege. The Widowmines here as well. I mean, the Widowmines actually do a surprising amount of damage to Ultralisks, which is, you know, while you're still adding them into the composition, it means that anything that runs into these mines is going to get softened up before the bio has to start fighting it. So that's definitely a good thing. Oh, lovely move by iAsonu. Counter-attack. The first time we've really seen counter-attack, and that's actually going to force the fight on iAsonu's terms for once. But he's running his Corruptors into Widowmines, so he's going to take a lot of damage there. So many Corruptors going down. The Ultras kind of coming in. Again, it's the first fight we've seen for a long time that iAsonu is the one forcing. But you can just see that Ryung kind of swiveled into position very nicely with the bio, and kind of rotated around to get into the right position there to deal with it. And the fact that he killed off a lot of the Corruptors with the mines, that's actually pretty huge. We've seen Infestor. Nice Fungal again. Is it enough though? Ryung starts to split up his bio, still cutting back away from these Ultralisks, as we see the Liberator is there as well, and that one Liberator zone is what he's pulling back to right now. As we're going to be seeing, with iAsonu come off cooldown, so these Ultras getting damaged again. They get choked up a bit by the Queen, which is busy transfusing. These Queens will go down now. They did their job of transfusing the Ultras, but obviously without creep, they're not very fast at all, so they get taken down pretty swiftly. As we're going to see a couple more Liberators sieging up once again. Widowmines are again in play, and then you can just see them Widowmines do so much damage to the Ultras initially, and actually for the first time in this game, I would say, we see one player finally taking a significant supply advantage, and it is Ryung, and with that, he's actually going to take this game number 1 of the best of 3. Fantastic. Let's go in game. This sub-tourney is the Wardy tourney. I don't know what you mean, Shifty. There's no sub-tournament tonight. I cancelled it. I I don't know what you mean. There's no Wardy tournament. I don't know what the Wardy tournament is. To bottom left hand side, we're going to have down in game as Zerg player in the teal is going to be iAsonu. Vertical spawns here on Invader, which generally will mean a bit more of an aggressive game from either side. Maybe roach based aggression out of iAsonu. Potentially just general pushes and just general pushes going to be pretty powerful from the Terran player who spawns to the top left. It is Ryung in the blue. As we just see the early game hatch gas pool setting up, we're just going to be seeing the pool racks coming down. And this is going to be a Rax gas here early, but a little bit of lag coming in the game. iAsonu just lagging out. We saw that in one of his earlier series. It's the last series iAsonu plays today, of course. A loss here will actually put him out the group. A loss here for iAsonu actually puts Scarlet and Ryung through. And then Ryung will have to play the TvT against Saber Altaria just to confirm whether he goes through in first place or second place over Scarlet. So that's how things will be going here. As we do see Ryung just and Reaper Expander start, nothing too crazy, and we'll just have a look to see what his build order, what sort of direction his build order is going to be going into over the next game. So reactor coming down here for this barracks factory is starting to build. So reactor factory. Again, nothing crazy just yet. Still, double gas is on the way. So again, just expecting to see Ryung be aggressive over 2 bases before going to 3 base a little bit later on. And I mean, Invader, again, interesting map. I mean, we don't see this map a lot just because people. There's a lot of reasons people don't like it. They don't like a lot of the air blockers, the different spawn locations can create weird games. Terran players in particular don't like it because you can barely build any production on this map in your main base because it's just so small. It's one of the smallest main bases I think we've ever had in a competitive map. So it's going to be seeing this Reaper kind of pulling back towards the front. I'm just going to be seeing the Reaper just sort of again, just kind of looking, poking, maybe trying to keep a drone from moving in towards the third base here for a little while as well. So, just little things we see. iAsonu is continuing to mine gas, so see if he goes into Pneumatized Carapace here, probably one of the more common ways to open. He could go into 2 base lair if he would like to, also a possibility. So, eyes open to see what there's going to be. He's actually only got 1 worker on gas now, so he's not rushing into whatever this further gas play is going to be. Just getting there slowly. So yeah, and, we're going to see Reaper just backing away up the left-hand side of the map. So Reaper just backing away up the left. We're going to see a Widowmine and a Medevac coming into play as well from Ryung right now. So Widowmine and a Medevac. We're going to see another hatchery being taken. That's just the 3rd hatch coming in. And again, just very standard stuff so far. Ryung once again straight into this tank play. So pretty much exactly what you sort of expect, I guess. Just sort of the siege tank coming in nice and quickly. I mean, maybe we expect to see the Widowmine beforehand. In fact, he's got the Widowmine, so there's going to be that Widowmine drop followed up by maybe a tank drop. He's got another Medevac, so he is going to kind of commit to this. I like it. Makes a lot of sense. It works. It's one of the more standard builds. Works on invaders. There's a couple of ledges you can use with the tanks, for example. So, yeah, no real surprise to see this being pulled out by Ryung here. Very standard build order to kick us off in this TvZ game number 2. I think our standard's what he's looking for right now, really, for the most part. We see, ooh, Widowmine going to take a lot of damage, goes down. Ryung being a little bit too over-aggressive with that, actually. Reaper Grenade, though, pulls them Queens back a little bit, and that's going to mean that they're going to take a bit more damage than they maybe expect to as well. Nice little bit of micro again, just pulling Marines back, but enough Zerglings to defend this, and, well, he loses a lot before the next kind of wave of reinforcements comes in, and so Ryung maybe not going to get that much done with this early attack, which is okay. I mean, he'll still take a 3rd CC behind it. I mean, he's still forcing units. He's still kind of in an okay position in terms of economy, so it's completely fine. And of course, you know, when you go for something like this, you're trying to make the Zerg player, you know, you're trying to force mistakes, you're trying to get something effective done. You're going to see the siege tank siege up here, guys, and again, that's going to be allowing him to kind of bait units towards that ledge, and then he's going to fire on them with the siege tank, which is going to be very powerful and very difficult. It's very similar to actually in Ruins of Endian in a lot of ways with how exactly he's going to try and play this out and try and make this work. But counterattack, Marines are not in the bunker, and there's actually an incomplete wall, so counterattack from iAsonu could get quite a lot of damage done. Ling's already getting on top of these units here. I mean, both players are going to do damage, but it's Ryung who's taking the worker losses. 11 workers have been lost, and it's going to go up to 15 now, even, as we see the Liberator. The only thing which is really defending here, I mean, you're going to go down as well at the end. 16 workers lost by Ryung, and that is iAsonu off to a fantastic start in this best of 3. Marines continue to fight here, continue to try and trade. It's just going to be seeing tanks coming in as well. It's just going to be seeing the Tank getting taken down pretty swiftly. So Tank getting taken down pretty swiftly there. We're just going to be seeing the Marines. So the Lings, sorry, just going up the left-hand side of the map. So Lings is going up the left-hand side of the map. Going to be attacking once again. I mean, again, Ryung just definitely not in a good position. That one run by has completely changed this game and put iAsonu into a fantastic spot. Ling run by attempt number 2 now, but there's a few more units in position. The wall is up on the main base. You can't get Lings in over there. And just going to be seeing these Lings continue to take some more damage. So, I mean, this time Ryung defends pretty well, but still 22 workers down. He's going to have to work some real kind of Terran magic if he wants to make his way back into this TvZ, because right now iAsonu is in a pretty darn good position here in game number 2, which is definitely looking a little bit scary for Scarlet. But that being said, I think Scarlet will go through if iAsonu still wins this, because she has the head-to-head advantage over iAsonu. And if iAsonu was to win, they'd have the same map. So I think we're going to go through in first place, probably. And then iAsonu and Scarlet would be tied for map score, so it'd be kind of head-to-head. You're going to see this Overseer just coming in overhead, and we're just going to be seeing a few extra Ravagers being added on, a few Roaches being added as well. It is going to be Roach Ravager out of iAsonu, so this time committing into the missile upgrades. Did you go missile upgrades last game? Because the melee upgrade was actually a little bit delayed. I never actually saw if he went missile upgrades or not, so he might have gone missile upgrades last game into melee. But for now, he's going missile upgrades with Roach Speed, and I'm just going to be seeing this big drop coming in. I mean, drop, one of the ways you can definitely try and get back in this game. Maybe drop the main, back away, and then kill off the 4th base as a kind of return on this drop. You can actually jump between the main and the 4th quite quickly in comparison to the Zerg player here. So you're going to see the Ravagers coming in, looking to connect on that Liberator, of course. You're going to see Marines going to start unloading here. Already Zerglings in position, a few Roaches coming out as well. Liberator going to siege up on the ramp to get some damage done, as these Marines will actually, one of the medevacs not unloading, so nowhere near as much damage done as expected from Ryung. Again, he's playing from a very tough position after taking so much damage earlier in the game. As we're just going to be seeing the few mules starting to drop on the 3rd base. There's that drop to the 4th, though. And we'll force the cancel on this, I think. So, delaying this gold base for a while, definitely slowing the Zerg down a little bit. And there's little things like this that Ryung needs to do to try and keep himself in this. Because, again, he's playing from behind. He has to use these drops to his advantage right now. As we see more Roaches on the way out from iAsonu. So more Roaches on the way out. He's getting towards maxed out, 180 supply here very soon. So it's actually very important for Ryung to continue to drop and not allow the Zerg player to actually just fight. Because if the Zerg player gets across the map and takes a fight, I don't think there's any way in which Ryung actually defends against this. So it's going to be seeing another couple of corrosive bars going off. And I'm just going to see the medevacs just backing away over to the left-hand side. See medevacs loading up over to the right hand side here as well. They're going to boost forwards in towards the main base once again. So they're going to boost in towards the main once more here. And you're just going to see these Roaches sort of moving forwards out of Ryung, out of iAsonu, just to kind of clean this up. And again, it's iAsonu who's defending very well at the same time, actually attacking across the map with some of his Roaches as well. As Ravagers here going to push this army back. SCV's pulled. I think Ryung is recognised, and he does not have anywhere near the numbers he needs to realistically fight against this. The Corrosive Bar is actually picking off a fair few units as well. And one single Woody Mine goes off on a single Roach. Not really ideal. And it's Ryung who's once again losing workers, losing supply, and it looks like iAsonu is going to force us into a 3rd game here today between himself and Ryung. So 3rd game going to be on the way up between these two players. No way does Ryung come back from this deficit. The Ravagers are in his natural. They are ravaging. And that's about it. Alright, so it's iAsonu with the run-by, basically. The run-by is the story of this game. One run-by has ended this. So many workers killed in the early game. 16. Continues to defend well after that. Defends all the drops. Does what he needs to do to stay in it. And does what he needs to do to close out the game and take game 2 and tie things up here against Ryung. So, going to be all tied up. Again, if iAsonu wins, Scarlet will have won. Alright guys, let's jump into game number 3 of this series. Let's do this. Let's introduce our players. The bottom left, bottom right hand side of Frozen Temple for our 3rd map of the series is going to be our blue Terran player. It's going to be Ryung. And to the upper left, our red Zerg player is going to be iAsonu here in this best of 3. Where's my mouse? It's on the screen. There we go. Move it away. Stop being a nuisance. As we set on up into third game with pretty standard openings once again. No free Axe Reaper, no free hatch or anything like that, just hatch gas pool. No early gas pool as well. Very standard stuff on Frozen Temple. Another map where there's a lot of potential to go for kind of an aggressive opening from Ryung, like that Widowmine drop again is very effective on this map towards the third base, with the tank follow-up. A lot of different possibilities, a lot of different chances here with what you can kind of do, what you can get up to. So, see how this is going to go. See that barracks being added on from Ryung over in the main base right now. So, Rack's being added on, about to finish up. And we'll see that finishing. We'll just see a Reaper starting on up from Ryung. So, Reaper starts up here. We'll see probably a reactor coming down very soon as well. I think the caster's kind of just showing us there that there's space to build a reactor and just saying it's a nice place to build the racks, which is true. Makes it so that the reactor isn't part of your wall off as well, which is very important because it means that you can't lose that against certain builds, or it's less likely that you lose it against certain builds. So that's also a nice little added benefit. Factory being added on by Ryung. Command center being added on by Ryung. Reactor being added on by Ryung. No surprises at the start of game number 3. From our Terran play, over on the Zerg side of things, well, he's still mining a little bit of gas. He's actually still mining with 3 workers, it would seem. So maybe a Pneumatized Carapace opening, maybe something aggressive to try and take a quick win and to put him into a position where he would be ahead of Scarlet. So again, be ahead of Scarlet and I think if he wins this here, iAsonu does confirm his place in the group into the playoffs. If he loses this, it's Scarlet that confirms the place. So again, it's kind of as we said, like we mentioned it way back at the start of the day, where I was like, this group's very close, and I feel as though we could see any 3 of Ryung, Scarlet, and iAsonu making it through into the playoffs, and that's still a very a possibility right now. I think even Ryung could maybe. I don't think Ryung could go out, but yeah, I don't think Ryung will drop out. I don't think he can, but he could if he lost to Saber Altaria as well in the TvT. You never know. You never know. That would be a hell of an upset. So, anyways, we see Lingspeed going to be finishing up soon. Pneumatized Carapace is going to be finishing up shortly as well. And see the third base from iAsonu currently non-existent, but of course it does come down a little bit later when you go for the Pneumatized Carapace opening because you just don't have as many minerals due to continuing mining that gas and spending some money on the Pneumatized Carapace as well. So third hatchery comes down at 330. I'm just going to see these Zerglings continue to come across the map right now from iAsonu. So Lings continue to come across towards the bottom right hand side. Bunker going to fill up this little bit of a gap as well. I'm just going to see these Marines and the Widowmine from Ryung just going to collect together and just have a little bit of a think as to what they might want to try and do here. We're going to see these Zerglings from iAsonu just going to be underneath the medevac and just going to be trying to keep on top of that. Medevac continue to move in towards the upper left hand side of the map here and having a look to see what he might be able to get up to. So just looking to drop here early is going for that second tank and for the first tank and the second medevac now instead of the Liberator base follow up. So again, very similar to the last game, and hopefully we'll see him being a little bit more successful with this attack. He has got a wall off this time, so the counter attack from iAsonu shouldn't really be able to do any damage either. So we're just getting into a nice position here at the start of game number 3, or at least trying to get himself in a nice position, just looking for a place to drop. Isn't getting it just yet though. But distracting them Lings over towards the main base. And if he boosts back towards the third with both medevacs now, you could definitely get himself set up into a good position to work with. So that's what he's going to start doing. Boosting back over here, and Overlord going to start going down, although it just has Pneumatized Carapace so it can get away. He's just going to be seeing 3 Queens, but Tank already sieging up. Widowmine as well. Very difficult position to attack into now. We might see the Overlord being used as a way to kind of bait the Widowmine shot. That'd be pretty cute as we see the Widowmine. Actually moving over to the right hand side here though. Ling's starting to come in. Ooh, friendly fire from the Zerglings. But a few Zerglings go down at the same time. Marine's going to lift up, back away from this tank, maybe into the main base. And again, we're over here just for the most part looking to try and trade a little bit, just try and force units and just see what he can get up to in the early stages. I mean, see if he can really get some damage done. Look at the speed of the upgrades though from iAsonu. Very fast +1/+1 melee upgrades. So we're going to be playing behind on upgrades for the entirety of this game. So that's definitely going to be a bit of an issue as he saves the tank. Leaves the Marines behind. They actually pick off a Queen before they go down, so not bad, killing off a Queen. And the tank gets saved, both the medevacs get saved, so the important expensive units stay alive here in this series. On this map. What was a good thing? Lings just going in over towards the right side again. That drop, just again trying to see if we can get anything else done. Ryung probably going to repair up these medevacs and probably keep dropping with the tanks. I mean, we've seen them already today with a couple tanks harassing around the map, cleaning up creep spread and more. We've seen that multiple times today actually, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that again as we see this main base, this orbital in the main base just going to look to move down in towards the third location in the near future. I mean, Ryung just building up into stim combat, not combat just yet, but stim +1/+1. Getting those upgrades though out of iAsonu. Came down super early, and so now he's already got 2-2 started. It's going to be a huge upgrade window for him throughout the entirety of the game. So this is iAsonu with very good upgrades to play with. As we do see this Overlord just heading over to the right hand side. We see that 4th hatchery being taken now as well. So 4th hatch gets taken here, and again we're just sort of seeing the lair just sort of up. Not really anything coming out of it just yet. There we go. We see the Spire coming down. Obviously the lair helps the 2-2 as well. The Spire being in nest as well, being in speed I should say, as I'm going to allow him to just go into a very standard Ling Bane Reader playstyle. Again, we're in the 3rd game of this series, and it's an important one because iAsonu wins this, he's in the playoffs. If he loses this, it's Scarlet that goes to the playoffs instead of him, so it's an important match as we see the tanks go and load and get a couple of shots off onto Lings once again, and on the high ground, another shot or so. But again, iAsonu is splitting up well to kind of push this back to keep this away and to just stop himself from taking any kind of major damage at this point of time. Ling Bane going to collect itself together, and as we see iAsonu just having a little bit of a think as to what exactly you might want to do. Send some Lings over to the right hand side of the map. Might actually intercept this sort of group of units going over. I imagine there's a medevac with it though that they can lift up in. No, there isn't actually. There's Marines out here on their own. Gonna get surrounded, and actually has Ryung got enough units? I don't see any units for Ryung. I mean, maybe they're just not on screen, but I can't see any kind of decent Marine count to deal with that number of Zerglings. The drop is going to distract iAsonu for now though, and he actually does pull away, so in the end it doesn't really matter. And we'll see Ryung just continue to harass with those couple of tanks again. Has to be careful for the next 2 minutes or so. He's going to have to be very careful because this is where iAsonu is going to have the 2-2 upgrades and he is not. And that 2-2 to 1-1 upgrade difference, well, that's going to make a big difference. That's going to have a huge effect on any fight. So this is the real point in time where Ryung has to be very cautious. And you can actually see a lot of Banelings morphing in, more Lings and Banes over here. Not really looking to actually be super aggressive maybe, but maybe just run by. But actually if iAsonu can find a good fight, it's going to work out well for him. Ryung does have a wall off towards this 3rd base, which is fantastic. That's going to help him a lot against this right now. And this was one of the issues on this map initially. A lot of people couldn't deal with all the run-bys that happened from Zerg players, but over time people have learned where to wall off, how to wall off, the best way to do it all. And we're just going to be seeing Ryung here is very well prepared to deal with that incoming attack, as he also pushes up the right-hand side of the map at the same time. So has to be careful. It doesn't look like he's got that large an army over in position here. I mean, I guess the tanks, and I guess there's more Marines than I'm giving credit for, is they're going to stream on in towards the 3rd, but they get turned around pretty quickly. They bust down a couple of depots and a couple of, well, and a bunker as well. It's not really that much, though. 4 workers go down this run by, not really super effective. I mean, it's still a little bit annoying. 7 workers in the end, well, okay, that's a bit better. But we still see these tanks and Wintermines actually holding this position quite nicely for Ryung. He's got a lot of Wintermines to fall back to, and that's actually pretty important here because the Wintermine's going to get a huge connection to the top side, and again, so many Banelings just going down to the mines. And that's actually going to really give Ryung a good fight here. Reinforcements streaming across and actually only Lings left over. And so if Ryung continues to kind of stream reinforcements across the map and doesn't give his opponent a chance to get Banelings up again, this could be problematic. Immediately we see 10 more Banes now morphing in, but he needs them 10 Banelings and he needs them badly. Getting rid of the Baneling count's the most important thing Ryung has done right now, as we're going to see him moving forwards again. He scans, he sees them Banes morphing in. Might just take a moment or two. Going to move his Wintermines a bit further forwards into a bit of a better position as well. He's going to continue to attack towards this 4th base. Another run by being set up by iAsonu to the left-hand side, although it looks as though it's starting to come back now. Nice splits by Ryung as the first few Banes throw themselves in there, but don't get anything done. And iAsonu is attempting to go in towards big Wintermine hit to the left-hand side once again. iAsonu is trying to go to the Ultra Cavern, but does he have the time to really get there? I don't know if he does. Ryung quite far ahead on army supply right now. He's re-walled on this left-hand side, so he's got reinforcements on the way over to help that out. So he's again playing very well against these counter-attacks, as we see iAsonu looking to kind of flank in from maybe the right-hand side and the top side at the same time. He's actually going to surround Ryung, but actually Ryung cleans up the top side so quickly that he can begin to kind of split away towards the top, and so the flank is kind of shut down very quickly there. And these last few Banelings are not really doing enough just yet. A couple of units jumped in the medevac to minimize the damage too. And Ryung just keeps streaming across the map, and it looks as though he might have the momentum to push into the 4th base. 2 Banelings left over. They hit Marauder to begin with. Still not ideal. 1 Baneling left over, and we don't see any more Banelings being made. It's only Zerglings that are on the way out, and so the 4th base, I think, might just be about to go down. 2 Ultras on the way, but they're not going to be here in time to change too much. And Ryung is just controlling these fights very, very well. Really taking very good fights, and well, the 4th base goes down. It's going to make life very difficult for iAsonu. Even with 2 Ultras coming out, it's going to be a difficult phase of the game for him now as we see that 4th base falls. And, well, Ryung going to be under attack here once again in a moment or two. We're going to see this army coming in from the right-hand side and from the 3rd base as well, as we just have Marines continue to push through here. I think there's a lot of drones to the top side there, which Ryung could maybe kill off if he was paying attention, but he doesn't see them just yet. You can see another few units going down towards the left-hand side. A little bit of a counter-attack, actually dealing with the reinforcements is pretty cute, but these Balins are just not enough. They're getting picked away at now. The meters go down as well. I mean, iAsonu kind of just waiting, I feel, for the Ultras to pop out, and there they are. And, well, no Marauders just yet, so the Ultras will be good enough to kind of push this away momentarily. Or are they? I mean, there's actually nothing to support them, so maybe not, but still the Marines don't do that much damage to them. Even without Kindness Plane. Once Kindness Plane comes up, these Ultras are going to be very good, but can Ryung, does iAsonu kind of survive until then? 3rd base goes down. I mean, this is just damage that is going to be so hard to return from. Liberator's on the way. Marauder production starts from Ryung as well. He realizes what he has to do to stay in this, to fight against these Ultras. Actually loads up a couple of medevacs, and they're probably going to loop around towards the main base. I think there's some drones still in the 4th base that Ryung never cleaned out, so they're going to start long distance mining. Still not really an ideal situation though, as Ryung just pulling back, just waiting for a few more Marauders to join his army before he really continues to commit to this. Another scan coming down. Let's see, a little bit of an army over to the left hand side actually. Ryung let's try and drop this new base which is being established. Ooh, a bit of a move command there is going to run right into some Ultras. A little bit of a mistake, but he's also up to the top right, and that's again an issue as he's actually got his main base orbital moved in towards a 4th location of his own. And Ryung picks off 15 drones over towards this 3rd base, which is of course not really existing right now. So more damage done by Ryung, and again looking very, very good here in game number 3. So the Kira Scarlet moving on in towards the playoffs of today's Leifeng Cup number 150. And it'll be Ryung and Scarlet who advance on through. Ryung still has to play Saber Altaria in the TvT just to confirm whether he moves through in 1st place or in 2nd place. So that's still to come. 1 TvT after this series here, which looks as though again it'll be closing out in the next couple of minutes. It's been a great series. The game number 1 especially was fantastic by both players, and even game 3 has been very very fun to watch. I always like the Lingbane Muta sort of thing against kind of bio pushes. I always think it's very fun to watch, very entertaining to watch the kind of consistent trades that we get to see. Ryung right now just so far ahead in supply. He's doubling the army supply of his opponent. He's got Liberators out, he's got mines. He's got everything he needs. He scans around, he's just checking for extra bases. He knows the only real base right now is over to the left. As his Ultra runs in, going to do a little bit of damage, but well, 6 workers killed is not really going to pull him back into this game just yet. Liberator's actually, in fact, this entire bio army completely out of position. Liberator's going to siege up, and they're the only real saviors right now against these Ultras. Corruptor's coming in too. The Marauders kind of loop around to kind of stay under the Liberators, and that's going to be GG from iAsonu. Realizing he doesn't have enough here, Ryung will take the first.